Hello everyone, welcome to the Secrets of Mars Afflictions in Relationships, commonly known as Kuja Dosh or Manglik Dosha. This is a very important affliction in astrology. It can be seen from your ascendant, but also from the moon and Venus in your chart. But is it as serious as it has been made out to be? There's a great deal of superstition around this Mars affliction, but also a great deal of truth. So let's go into depth with this. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. And if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. So what exactly is Manglik? Manglik is an affliction of Mars in your chart to the 7th house of marriage. It's actually mentioned in the ancient texts such as Brihad Parashara Hora Shastra, where Sage Parashara talks about the importance of this affliction. So we need to take this quite seriously, most definitely. Sage Parashara mentions Manglik in the section relating to female horoscopes, but at the same time, a few verses down, he makes it very clear it applies both in male and female charts. Now, Sage Parashara mentions definitely the death or loss of the partner can occur if you have this Manglik in your chart, but he also gives mitigating circumstances. Please remember, everyone, that this has created a great deal of fear, and we need to look at the whole chart before we make absolute conclusions based on one placement. So I hope on this video I will put some of your fears about this Manglik Dosha to rest. Let's begin. Let's start looking at your chart from Ascendant then, everybody. Make sure you've got a Vedic chart that has sidereal signs and most definitely has Rasi chart, that is one sign equals a house, and most definitely don't use any Bhavachalit or unequal house system. So in this way, we can see Manglik from the Ascendant when Mars is in the 2nd house, 4th house from Ascendant, 7th, 8th, and 12th house from Ascendant. Now, some traditions have Mars 1st house as Manglik. I'm not following that tradition here because Mars in Ascendant generally is not as serious for Manglik because Mars is strong in Ascendant, gains strength in the house whose natural karaka is the sun, his friend. So we do not normally see, in the tradition I follow, Mars in Ascendant as Manglik. You must also check, however, from your moon, from Chandra Lagna, with moon in the 1st house of your chart, check where Mars is placed. If Mars is in the same sign as the moon, 4th from the moon, 7th from the moon, 8th, and 12th, this is also a strong Manglik Dosha. What you should know is that when the moon is with Mars in particular, it's a Rudra Yoga. It disturbs the mind and definitely afflicts relationship. Last but not least, you must also check from Venus. Venus is karaka for relationships in both male and female charts. So putting Venus as the 1st house if you have Mars with Venus, 4th house from Venus, 7th from Venus, 8th and 12th house from Venus, you also have Manglik Dosha. It's very important I just make this point, everyone. How common is Manglik? How many people have a Manglik affliction in their chart? It might seem from what I've just shown you, when we can see 5 houses from Ascendant, Moon and Venus would have this affliction, that actually almost everybody would have some Manglik affliction in their charts. But that's definitely not the case. There are many people, maybe up to 40-50% of the population who have no Manglik affliction at all, either from Ascendant, Moon or Venus. Let's look in more detail now about the specific placements of Mars, starting from Ascendant and why these are causing relationship difficulties. Let's start by looking at Mars in the 4th, 8th and 12th house, taking it from Ascendant here. Now, these are known as the water houses because in natural zodiac we have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces here. The 4th, 8th and 12th are very sensitive houses, highly emotional houses. It's the Moksha Karaka houses. They relate to deep emotions and cleansings of karma, actually. So when you have Mars, which is a fire tattva, in these houses, we're going to have an issue. What's happening is that the fire or Agni Tattva of Mars is actually being extinguished in these houses, and that's not an easy process. So Mars in these water houses will internalize emotion. You will hide your feelings. You find it hard to express your true feelings to others. This can lead to endless anger issues, frustration issues, and even jealousy and possessiveness from these positions. In fact, your whole desire nature is extremely sexual and very strong indeed with all of these Mars placements. Why is it happening? Well, first of all, Mars in the 4th house is affecting the domestic situation, making a lot of fireworks, but disturbance in that area. Mars is not happy in the kitchen. Basically, that's the 4th house. He wants to be out on the battlefield. So there's a lot of containment and difficulty and stress in relationship where you feel literally cornered in an intimate relationship. In addition, Mars throws a 4th aspect onto the house of marriage. Now, Mars's 4th aspect is about control. By any house which Mars aspects 4 away, he wants to control a house. So in this position, Mars wants to control the marriage, control close friendships, wants to be in charge of all conflicts in life and open enemies. So Mars is really battling for control here, and you can imagine what tensions and difficulties that can cause in relationships. Now, all of these positions show a very secretive desire nature, as I've just explained, but especially Mars in the 8th. Mars in the 8th is really going to show that you desire the control in a relationship by keeping everything to yourself. You keep your emotions, your motivations, even your plans, sometimes from your spouse, depending on the sign and other planets. But it's certainly not harmonious in the relationship because the 12th house to Mars is the 7th house. A secret about Mars, by the way, wherever he is in any chart, he destroys something about the house behind himself because he's literally the warrior, and anybody who gets too close behind him, he'll just turn around and basically fire. So Mars is going to destroy something in relationships because he feels a little bit stalked by the partner. He can't get his independent nature working in the relationship. There's a lot of trust issues and fears in relationship connected to this Mars 8th house. Now, Mars in the 12th, but to a certain extent, once again, in the 4th, 8th, and 12th, is very sensitive to challenges to the relationship. It's the 6th house away from the relationship house and 8 aspects back to it. The 8th aspect shows crisis. So many crises in relationships occur. There can be many breaks, many off and on relationships, long distance relationships, change of purpose of the relationship, moving to be with partner, but then finding you are not satisfied there. Mars, once again, cannot express open feelings here easily, and this causes endless tension. This is also the house of the bed itself. Mars has gone into the marriage bed. We can see straight away that sexual desire becomes a huge part of conflict with this Mars 12th house. Now, what about when Mars has gone into the 2nd and the 7th house? To some extent, what I've just explained about possessiveness, high desire nature, and all of those factors are definitely there, but they're coming from a different angle. Mars in the 2nd is in the natural house of Taurus, ruled by Venus, and Mars in the 7th in the natural house of Libra, also ruled by Venus. Now, one strange thing I've seen with this Mars in the 2nd and Mars in the 7th, because of this Venetian influence on Mars coming in these two houses, I've actually seen Mars can become very romantic here, very, very giving, very much full on with all that Venetian stuff, okay, giving to the partner, full on flowers, chocolates, romance, attention, flattery, really all comes there, extremely so. And then the Mars clicks in and the Venus just goes for a 6, and Mars becomes totally interested in their own situation and becomes a little bit detached from the partner. It's definitely seen that Mars in the 2nd and the 7th in these Venetian houses can give conflicting sexual desires, where there is sexual incompatibility with a partner. In addition, Mars in the 2nd can definitely show family tensions in the relationship, either your family or the partner's family, and also financial issues between you become a source of distress. And Mars in the 7th is in a Marikastana position, a weak position. So what tends to happen is your partner gets stronger, your partner gets strength from the Mars. You can attract a really Martian dominating partner, and you can see straight away there's going to be some issues. Let's examine now positions from the moon. As I've just shown you, it's the same house positions, except that in this case, it's Mars in the 1st house with the moon, not Mars in the 2nd house. Now, the general indications for all these positions of Mars from the Moon will be very similar to what I've just explained from Ascendant, but there are some specific indications. Now, the Moon is our mind and emotions for certain, but it's also our feeling of security in life. When Mars is placed in any of these Manglik positions from the Moon, you can expect that your mind is highly agitated, angry, very much trying to find security, and very much irritated and on edge in many situations in life. You don't have a lot of patience, I've seen, or when you have Mars in these positions from the Moon. Generally, we also divide these into two. Mars in the 12th, 1st, and 4th shows the anger primarily coming from yourself. But Mars in the 7th and 8th shows there's also a lot of irritation, impatience, and difficulty coming from the partner towards yourself. In addition, Mars in the 12th house can show domestic issues because Mars is behind the Moon, which is a domestic situation. Moon in the Mars is a Rudra Yoga, showing a deep irritation, anger, and emotional instability, something you have to learn to control to make relationships work. Mars in the 4th from the Moon can show mental health problems sometimes because the mind becomes unstable with this position, and there is a great deal of tension and even fear in the mind sometimes. It needs to be contained and controlled to make your relationship successful. Next, the Manglik positions from Venus, showing your sexuality and desire nature strongly. Once again, just like the Moon, it's Mars in the same house as Venus, 1st house, but not Mars in the 2nd. Now, the 7th from Venus in any chart shows what you get in relationships, what sort of relationships you end up getting into. So Mars having a big effect on this 7th from Venus from all of these positions brings that anger, tension, disagreements, and just conflict into the relationship area. Very often these placements of Mars from Venus show many romantic relationships or many various attractions during your lifespan. As I say, it's a highly powerfully sexual position of Mars, especially Venus in conjunction with Mars. The Venus-Mars conjunction is actually quite an erotic conjunction. It's definitely going to give a really highly sex nature, but it can give real problems in relationships and finding relationship satisfaction. It's supposed to be more problematic in a female chart, but I have to say I've not seen that. I've seen it to be equally problematic for both male and female chart. Apart from this, though, you can judge all the Mars positions from Venus exactly as I've described from the Ascendant. The sign position of Mars becomes very important to judge because it contains the past life karmas that are directly implicated in this affliction of Manglik. There is definitely a magnified Manglik effect when you have Mars in Capricorn, Aries, Scorpio, and Aquarius. Capricorn exalted, very strong Mars. Mars in Aries, Scorpio own sign, and Aquarius, a very strong, dynamic but difficult Mars, having that effect of Rahu and Shani behind him. So these positions especially give a really strong Manglik and need careful attention. It's very important then for everybody to check the position of Mars by sign. I will link a video below, Mars Karmas All Signs, and also at the end. Let's look then at the general impact of Manglik affliction in your chart, whether it's from Ascendant, Moon or Venus, or even from all three. People then with this Manglik affliction have definitely got something going for them that needs to be understood. You see, this Manglik gives you enormous independence, resourcefulness and dynamism in life. You're a survivor. You can go through great trials, great difficulties and keep on coming up stronger and stronger. You've got a great deal of energy and resourcefulness at the back of you that can help you in very many areas of your life. So therefore, Manglik actually helps you if you're a sports person, army person, anybody doing daring deeds in life, or anybody who is actually very active in their life benefits from this Manglik position. The problem comes in relationships, of course, because Mars is not prepared to cooperate as much as is necessary. He wants to keep on moving forward. He can get angry and irritated if he is restrained. Relationships demand a lot of compromise, and it's not easy for Mars to do that. What you'll see in the lives of people with this Manglik is that they're always getting into some argument, even inadvertently. They can be just checking out at the supermarket and something happens, arguments occur around them. They have this energy, this Martian energy that attracts some sort of competitiveness or conflict around them. Both male and female with this Manglik in their chart can be restless and difficult to satisfy in relationship. They are very highly sexed and always finding new attractions very often, depending on the whole chart, of course, which can disturb their mind. Because of this, it's not surprising that divorce and separation, especially these days, can be seen in the charts of those who have this Manglik affliction. What is a remedy for having this Manglik in your chart? How can you stop some of the most difficult impacts in your intimate relationships? I'll talk a bit more at the end of the video, but right now, the commonly given remedy is to marry or to get together with someone who also has Manglik affliction in their chart, whether from Ascendant, Moon or Venus. It's a remedy given by Sage Parashara because the idea is that two minuses like Manglik in one chart and in the other come together and make a plus, get rid of the affliction. The strange thing is, everyone, that people with Manglik in their chart tend to naturally, without even matching a chart, get together or be attracted to people who also have this Manglik factor in their chart. It's like Mars attracts another Mars person. You're just bored with the people that don't have a Mars affliction. So it sort of sorts itself out in life. I've seen this quite a lot. But what is generally not understood, I've seen, about two people with this Manglik affliction in their charts getting together is that it's going to increase the Mars energy. There's going to be more arguments, more disputes, more difficulties. It isn't going to make it easier. It's just going to magnify it. So why is it helpful? What happens is that the people with Manglik in their chart deal with the anger of the other person better. They can sort of take it on board and not let it afflict them too much. So they can actually absorb other people's anger, irritation, because they have the same thing themselves. It doesn't mean that Manglik people who get together will not divorce or have difficulty. They will, because don't forget, it's not just Mars, it's Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, afflictions to the 7th house, other malefics that have impact as well. And is it an unmitigated disaster when a person having Manglik should actually get together with a person who does not have it in any way in their chart? Not at all. A very well-known example is that of the famous Indian astrologer, father of Indian astrology himself, B.V. Raman, and his wife. He has Manglik 3 times. From his ascendant, he has Mars 7th house, from the moon 4th house, and Mars is with Venus. His wife, however, had no Manglik at all, either from moon, ascendant, or Venus. So they were not matched in any way on Manglik. And they were married for 70 years, and he died before she did. So he did not lose his partner due to Manglik. This is all confirmed, by the way, by his daughter, shown here, who is a famous astrologer in her own right. Now, are there any mitigating factors in your chart that will tone down this Manglik? If you were to Google this, cancelling factors of Manglik, you'd find a whole list of things. Really, I have to tell you, none of them do anything at all. The only thing that I have seen mitigates Manglik is the aspect of Jupiter. It doesn't take away Manglik, but it does a little bit take the edge of it, soften it down a little bit. So Jupiter with Mars conjunction, Jupiter aspecting by site or sign to Mars can help a little bit. And by the way, B.V. Raman, who we've just seen, check back, has not got any Jupiter aspect to Mars at all. Brings up the question of the other benefics, Venus, Moon. Can they help this Manglik? Well, Venus and the Moon definitely not, because they are part of the whole Manglik problem. We are seeing Manglik from the Moon, from Venus, so no. What about Mercury? Well, here's the thing. Mercury is an irritant to Mars. He's not a friend to Mars. He's an enemy. I don't think you're going to find that helpful. If you were observant, some of you may have noticed that B.V. Raman had Mercury, a retrograde Mercury, in that 7th house with Venus and Mars. But Mercury's 7th house is in a Morakastana position. It doesn't have very much strength at all, even though it was a retrograde Mercury. It's not so good a placement for Mercury's 7th house. So generally, I don't think that was any mitigating factor at all. Now for some example charts, everyone, so we can put everything into some perspective. Start with Paul McCartney, who's been married 3 times. Paul McCartney, Sir Paul McCartney, the ex-Beatles singer-songwriter. Now, what we have to see is, has he got Manglik first of all? He's been married 3 times. We might expect that there might very well be some Manglik affliction, and there is. He has Moon and Mars in conjunction. So this is first house from the Moon. Mars is placed in Cancer. Mars is in Cancer, sort of helpful because it takes away a little bit of the strength and the difficulty of that Manglik, but it is increased again because Venus is in Aries, and from Venus, 4th house from Venus is Mars. His wife Linda has no Manglik. Here's her chart. From Ascendant, Libra here, Mars is 6 houses away. That's not Manglik. From the Moon and Venus, rising of birth, Mars is 6 away. It's quite interesting though, even though she does not have Manglik affliction, Mars is her 7th lord going into the 6th house. That can show tension with a spouse. And although their relationship was actually publicly looked really happy, she was well known to have said to many friends that she was not happy, and she even thought of leaving Paul, but she couldn't bring herself to do that. Unfortunately, she had cancer and she died. So here we have a Manglik person who has in fact lost a partner, his first wife. His next wife was Heather Mills. Was she Manglik this time to match with Paul? Most definitely she was. In fact, a very strong Manglik. Scorpio, rising ruler of the Ascendant, is in the 4th house in Aquarius. So Manglik from Ascendant, Venus rising, Manglik from Venus as well. Now, Heather Mills is strongly Manglik because this Mars in Aquarius, this angular Mars, is in a sign which really ups the ante. As I've told you, one of those 4 signs that strengthens Manglik. So she's more Manglik than Paul is. So it didn't work for whatever reason, even though they were both Manglik, and they divorced. It's worth noting about Heather Mills, though, with this strong Manglik, that she has Jupiter having an aspect on Mars. As I say, this can lessen some of this affliction. Now, she was married at age 21 before she met Paul, of course, and she got divorced about 2 years after that. And she is now actually married again after her divorce from Paul. And she is actually an amputee, having been through a very difficult road traffic accident, trauma. So she's very much a typical Manglik survivor. Paul McCartney's current wife, his 3rd wife, is Nancy, and she has no Manglik at all in her chart. I do notice she has the Moon Gemini, though, which is in a conjunction, as it were, a synastry aspect to his Sun and Jupiter. I like to look at these also. That's a quite harmonious blend. Female Moon, male Sun, and with Jupiter, they should have some harmony there. But of course, I haven't got D9 charts. But let's just say for sure, he is now married to a non-Manglik person. Next, Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Well known to be a very unhappy relationship, but they divorced before she died, actually. So she didn't die when she was married to Prince Charles. So Diana is a triple Manglik. She has so many relationship difficulties shown in her chart, and this Manglik just amplifies it. From Ascendant, Mars is in the 12th house. From the Moon, 8 houses away, and from Venus, 4 houses away. In addition, Mars is in Leo, a fiery place for Mars with Rahu. This is really amplifying the double fire factor and the shocking factor, of course, connected to her death. But what we should know is that Prince Charles is definitely matching some fiery factors of this Manglik. Prince Charles has Mars in Scorpio. I've just spoken that Mars in Scorpio is one of the positions that definitely magnifies Manglik if you have it. And from the Moon in Aries, Mars' own sign, we have Mars 8 houses away. This actually shows some difficulty with his mother, by the way, just a little bit aside there. And Moon Rahu, of course, is bringing in that factor of his mother. He's been waiting a long time to become king, but that's another story. So there is some matching then to Diana's heavy Manglik, but is it enough? Is it working? Apparently not, because they divorced. Charles, of course, married Camilla, his earlier girlfriend, some time after Diana died. Now, please note that she was already twice married. We would expect that her chart would definitely have some Manglik to match with Charles. It certainly does. She has Mars in Taurus, very close to Rahu. So he's married another Mars-Rahu wife. Manglik as well, definitely. Venus and the Moon in Gemini. Mars is in the 12th to both. But do you notice the mitigating factor? She has Jupiter in Libra, having a sign aspect to Taurus, to the Mars and the Rahu in Taurus. So this Jupiter is giving her the steady, eventual, happy marriage that she is now experiencing. So two Mangliks together, but actually matched a lot closer, because he has Manglik from the Moon and she also has Manglik from the Moon. Neither of them have a Manglik from Ascendant. Let's look at a very happy marriage now between King George VI and his wife Elizabeth Bowes-Lyons. This is the king with the speech defect in the King's Speech film, which you may have seen. Now, King George VI has one strong Manglik. He has the Moon conjunct to Mars in the very difficult sign of Scorpio, as I say, intensifying this Manglik. But fortunately, Jupiter has a fifth aspect to this Manglik, considerably helping to lessen it. He had to propose 3 times to his wife. He's nothing if not stubborn with that Scorpio, and she eventually accepted. Now, does Elizabeth Bowes-Lyons have Manglik? She does, from Venus only. So Venus, Mars in the same sign, Mars in the first house from Venus. Don't forget, Ascendant Mars is not Manglik. So it's quite a good match. He has Moon Mars and she has Venus Mars. It's an evenly balanced situation. It was a very successful marriage. Of course, George VI died well before she did. He died in his 50s and she didn't die until her late 90s, continuing on as Queen Mother. Was that a Manglik? No, they were matched in that way. It's coming clearly from her chart. Saturn, 7th house, opposing Mars, Venus. Lots more to see there. So not everything can be attributed to Manglik alone. Now, the very unusual relationship of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, married here, as you can see, quite some time ago. I think that was 1980s. They have 2 daughters. They are now divorced. Are they Manglik? They most definitely are, both of them. Prince Andrew, of course, in some real scandal now, virtually turfed out of the royal family. Prince Andrew has Mars in the 7th from Ascendant, the first Manglik position, and he has Mars in the 1st house from Venus, Mars-Venus conjunction. Now, Sarah Ferguson, commonly known as Fergie, has Mars in Libra in the 1st house of her chart. That's not a Manglik. Mars 1st house, I do not count in the system I use as Manglik. But from the Moon, it's 8 houses away to Mars. Most definitely a Manglik. So 2 Mangliks together, but nevertheless, they got divorced. But here's the interesting thing. They went their own way, but then Sarah comes back to live with him. And she's been living with him for years and years, decades actually, bringing up their children together, but officially single, living their own lives. Now, she's been supporting him through all of the scandal he's been going through, and the question is, will they marry again? Much later in life. She's in her 60s now, as he is. Let's see, but one thing for sure, something is keeping them together. Something is closely bonding them. We would have to see D9 chart, but the Manglik factor is certainly matched in their charts. Let's have a look at Britney Spears again. I don't think I've quite seen a chart like this, so difficult for relationships. Here it is. Check out my video, Tithian Relationships, where I've really analysed some of the afflictions she has. But here, let's look at the one most important factor we're concerned with. Has she got Manglik? Of course she has. She most definitely has. From Ascendant, she has Mars in the 12th house. From the Moon and Venus, both, she has Mars 8 houses away. A triple Manglik, just like Princess Diana. So, Jason Alexander was her first husband, but they were already married for 55 hours. It must be a record. From his Moon, Mars is 4 houses away, and that is his Manglik. It's a strong Manglik, though, because Mars is the lord of his Ascendant. So, that didn't work, although he had a little bit of Manglik. She is attracted to the Mars character, obviously. Her second husband is the dancer Kevin Ferdinand. They were married for about 3 years. He has Mars in Cancer, though that's quite a weak Mars, and he has that in the 12th house to the moon. So he is Manglik from the moon, but hardly a strong Manglik at all. So he is no real Manglik match for Britney Spears, and this relationship didn't last. Next, David Bowie. He's had 2 wives. First of all, Angie Bowie, apparently married just to get her a passport to come to Britain. We don't know, but one thing for sure, they had a highly sexual relationship with many affairs. It was a bit of a rock and roll relationship. Here is their son, Zoe Bowie. David Bowie has one very strong Manglik. From the Ascendant, he has Mars in the 12th house. Mars with Mercury, not a happy combination, and with the Sun, Modicastana, weak Sun. So David Bowie, a very secretive and highly sexual person. But Angie Bowie has no Manglik at all from Sun, Moon or Ascendant, so she's not matching with him. But did she come to any danger marrying him? Not at all. They divorced after some years. Now, I'm going to put up this chart of David Bowie's second wife, even though great unfortune, I only have it from the moon because we have no birth time. I cannot find a birth time for the famous model Iman, his second wife. Of course, he died before her. So was she Manglik from the moon and Venus? No, but was she from Ascendant? We just don't know. Of course, David Bowie died not so long ago, but she is not the strongly Manglik person in any way, even if she is Manglik from Ascendant. Please note that Mars is with Jupiter, reducing it, and Mars is in Cancer, a weakened state. Finally, an extremely long-lasting marriage between Elizabeth II of England, the present Queen, and Prince Philip recently died, married for over 70 years. Do you expect to see a Manglik affliction here? Well, you'd be surprised. There is quite a bit of Manglik. In Queen Elizabeth's chart, we have Mars in Capricorn. So it's a strong, exalted Mars, which will increase Manglik factor, but it is with Jupiter. So it's being increased, but somewhat helped along the way. But still, she has 2 Manglik factors, not because it's in Ascendant, but because it's 12th house from Venus and 7th house from the moon. So 2 Manglik factors from the moon and Venus, but a Jupiter conjunction to Mars helping things out. Prince Philip is also twice Manglik, very strongly. Mars in the 7th house with Mercury, that irritating Mercury in the 7th house, but opposing to the Ascendant. So Mars Manglik from Ascendant, and also we can see that Mars is in the 12th house from the moon in Cancer. So he has 2 Manglik matching to hers, but does he have Jupiter helping in any way? Not really at all. Jupiter is in Leo here. So her Manglik is being smoothed out, but his is pretty strong. Of course, to understand relationship much better between these 2 people, we'd have to see the D9 charts of both. But it's lasted. And I think what has helped so much has been this Jupiter conjunction to Mars in Queen Elizabeth's chart. What are the remedies for Manglik? It's very important to understand that if you have this affliction in your chart in any way, from Ascendant, Moon or Venus or all 3, you have to take care of Mars. It's said that this is coming from past life karma due to harm caused to other beings in some way. So the first thing that has to be done is to calm down the negative factors of Mars. The first remedy I would actually give, if you're serious about this, is simply to become vegetarian. It will help. Nextly, you must utilize the Mars. This Mars karma isn't going to go away. It's part of you. You can't take away part of yourself. So this has been there for a long time. Make Mars positive. What should you do? Use that aggression, that anger to fight for other people. Fight for good causes. Put your energy into something outside of yourself. Make it your mission in life, and you will get definite good results. It will take so much tension out of relationships. One of the most common remedies given for Mars, actually, in astrology in general, is just to get physical, go to the gym, become a sports person, a dancer. But to my mind, that is not going to remedy these Mars karmas. You may get involved in all of these activities just naturally by your chart, but it's not going to remedy Manglik. It's because focus is on the self, on your own performance, and this just won't help you. It's not giving of that Mars energy. Joining the army, doing something physical in that way, though, would be, because you are fighting for other people. That's the point. So find some activities then where you can give to others, physically, mentally, whatever it is. Give selflessly to some cause. Have some action in life, by the way, far better not with your partner, separately. And this will definitely help Mars to become more positive in your chart. In regard to matching charts, a common remedy, I've already spoken about this in some detail earlier on in the video, so please check that out. Link below the video to the timestamps. But you see, whatever you're doing, you have to know it's not an exact science. It's probably better to match across the chart to a similar Manglik. So say you've got Ascendant Manglik, then you need to match in an Ascendant Manglik in the partner. Moon to Moon, Venus to Venus, and so on. But don't forget, in the Vedic system, there are many factors which you have to match on, not just Manglik. So don't just make it the most important thing. It's taking it out of all proportion. And always remember, afflictions from other malefics to the 7th house, like Shani, Rahu, Ketu, etc., can be just as important to take note of. It's generally said, though, that marrying after the age of Mars maturity can help if you are Manglik, which is, of course, after age 28. So if you're suffering from Manglik, feeling this anger, irritation, difficulty dealing with others generally, Tuesday is your day. This is Mars Day. Fast on this day. Do actions that are selfless. Helping others in an active way on this day will always help. Hanuman too is your most definite friend if you have Mars affliction in your chart. Worshipping Hanuman as much as you can in whatever way. If you are female, approaching him through Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman is generally good. Hanuman will take away the anger and the irritation. He will calm your heart and he will guide you if you have this Mars affliction. Check out also Mars karmas in all signs on your screen right now. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now and God bless everyone.